Hello, my name is Katy Strand and I teach at Indiana University. Today I'm going to be talking about teaching musical expression to child performers. This comes from a study that I conducted with Brenda Brenner, who is also a teacher at Indiana University. First, I want to define musical expression. Expressiveness is the process that a performer uses to identify and manipulate the moments in music that are, according to sensible patterns of change, appropriate for deviations in the norms of tempo or dynamic level, articulation, or even tone quality. To be an expressive performer, one must have some level of technical skill, one must be able to interpret the music to some degree, and one must be able to show some creativity or spontaneity. Or in other words, we call that sometimes having your own voice. The central idea in teaching musical expressiveness is to have a body that is connected in a flexible way to the instrument that they are playing or the voice that they're using to sing. In order to be flexibly connected to your instrument, teachers talked about the importance of the students learning to ground their bodies, to root their feet, or have a good relaxed but comfortable seat. It also means releasing tension and finding a way to connect the instrument to the body in a flexible way. Rigidity leads to less expressiveness. It also means helping the student find that connection to the instrument in a deep way. The further the instrument is from the body, the more challenging this really is. So a piano is more difficult to be expressive on than the voice. A second aspect of learning to be an expressive performer is learning to connect the musical structure and lyrics to the performance. By teaching technique, we should also be teaching the physical connection to the musical structure and the lyrics of any piece of music. We should never teach technique apart from teaching this connection. Teaching for musical expression with the structure and the lyrics can be accomplished by providing child-level repertoire and teaching music theory through this repertoire. We should show the learner the purpose of the musical structures and why that is part of interpreting the music. We should help the student find the arrival points in the music. These are the points where the rhythm, the melodic contour, and the harmony all come together at critical junctures. And we need to create music or find music for our students to play that has very clear arrival points. We also need to provide children with composing projects on their own, so they work with musical structures and lyrics in their own way. A third aspect of teaching for musical expressiveness is connecting the emotions and sensations of the performer to the music that they're playing. This can be accomplished by teaching technique in such a way that the students make those emotional and physical connections to the music. It also means finding the emotional connections to the context in which the music was created, perhaps the history of the music or the composer, or even when the piece was composed and what it was composed for. It also means helping children to feel and express their own emotions in relation to the music that they're playing. And we call that sometimes giving them their own voice. And finally, in order to do this, we have to help build community among our learners so they feel safe in expressing the emotions and sensations that they relate to the music that they are performing. The fourth and final aspect of teaching for expressive performance is helping the learner connect their music and their musical performance to the audience they're playing for. This can be accomplished by helping a student to develop performance techniques, teaching appropriate etiquette for performance, and this is very different depending on the context that the learner is performing in. A rock and roll etiquette is very different than a classical performance etiquette. We help to teach them appropriate movement when they're performing and appropriate interactions with the audience. We need to help the child to learn to interpret the context of the performance and read the audience, find out what they want at any given time. We have to provide repertoire and rehearsal time that allows the child to focus on helping the audience to enjoy the performance instead of the performer worrying about whether they're playing the correct notes. And finally, we need to allow for humor and personal interactions between the teacher and the students, between the students and each other, and then help them to find ways to do that with their audiences. Reality of teaching for musical expression means that we're teaching all of these different things. Various aspects of musical performance tend to be left out of our instruction. And I fear that without teaching for interpretation and creativity and technique, while we're teaching them to connect to their instruments, to the music, to the performance, and to their own emotional sensations, we sometimes leave aspects behind. Thank you for your time.